You know, there are many stories of fund managers who've really hit it big during economic and market downturns. One of my idols, Paul Tudor-Jones, he hit the jackpot during Black Monday in 1987. We had John Paulson massively succeeding in his bets against the housing market during the 2008 financial crisis, and the recent downturn wasn't any different either. We've had plenty of stories about fund managers hitting it big. For example, we've had Bill Ackman, who was one of the most successful, but there's also a somewhat lesser known fund manager who's also absolutely smashed it and rose to fame recently, and that's Cathie Wood of ARK Invest. From the trough in March last year to the peak in February this year, ARK's Innovation Fund saw a 350% gain. And they've been attracting headlines, not just for the returns, but also for the extreme price targets that Wood gives for things like Tesla and Bitcoin, as well as her Twitter exchanges with people like Elon Musk. As I'm sure you can expect, if you're going to have Twitter exchanges with Elon Musk, you're probably going to pick up a bit of a following. Now, the Innovation Fund is an ETF that's focused on investing in disruptive innovation, which obviously means that they invest in a lot of tech. And throughout the second half of last year and the start of this year, tech stocks have really been performing very well. Unfortunately though, the fund is now facing a bit of a problem because of the threat of rising inflation. A global recovery is something that could actually be harmful to the fund rather than a benefit, at least in the short term. Now, Cathie actually said even before the pandemic started, back in 2019 or something, that a crisis would be the best thing for them, as that's when innovation takes root and gains traction. And it seems that she was right. You know, the pandemic was obviously a catalyst for the adoption of many different types of tech. It's become a completely different way that we live our lives now. However, things haven't been going so well since then. While US stocks overall have been continuing to climb to all-time highs, the ARK Innovation Fund has actually wiped out all of the gains that it's made so far this year and more, as tech stocks have begun to fall out of favour. You know, we're starting to hit that point in the recovery now where investors are more interested in stocks that tend to perform well during a broader recovery, something that we discussed in an older video which was about the FTSE 100, which you can watch if you want to click up here and see that. Now, Cathie has blamed the fund's decline this year on fears that inflation is creeping in. The US has had huge amounts of fiscal and monetary stimulus, and we've seen the prices of many commodities skyrocketing recently. We've had many videos about it, and as expected, we're now seeing inflation data rising. Because despite Jerome Powell saying that inflation is transitory, it's really inevitable that under those sorts of conditions, there is going to be inflation rising, at least in some areas of the economy. But it seems, as well as Jerome Powell, Cathie Wood isn't too worried about it, at least publicly, although I'm pretty certain that at the moment she will be probably losing sleep some nights. Now, if inflation does prove to be transitory, as Jerome Powell and Cathie Wood think, then we could see the fund start to pick up performance once again. But I wouldn't expect to see the kind of returns that she saw last year, at least not consistently, since that was a very unique situation, or at least we hope it was a unique situation. If inflation does continue to head up, then the fund may continue to underperform the broader markets. However, this is an actively managed fund, so it's also very possible that Cathie could make some changes and may benefit from some other smart bets. She has said that the fund is still at the beginning of the technology revolution and the fund's outlook is over the next 5 years. So I personally think it's a bit unfair to judge people's results on the short term when there's a long-term focus with what they're doing, whether it's funds or companies. So I do think it's best to judge her on how she does over the next few years. However, I also strongly believe that if you're willing to make a song and dance about your short-term successes, you have to take the stick when things aren't going so well over the short term as well. You can't just fall back on the fact that you need to be judged on the longer term when it suits you. You know, it's one or the other. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you think will be the big industries now as we come out of the pandemic? What sort of big investments are you going to be making? And has a fund like ARK had its day? Has it reached its peak? Or is the best yet to come? Let's discuss down below in the comment section. Hit the like button to support the channel if you could, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys. See you soon.